Here comes a car. I'm walking to the Connemara. Today is the 18th of May. Welcome to the show. It's the 18th of May, and it's a Monday. It's a Monday. I hope my microphone is not rubbing against my shirt. I think it's okay. So I'm doing another audio vlog. I have been really consistent in doing these every day. And it's been one of the most effortless things I've ever started to do. It is like the walk itself. And as I know, I've started to upload my audio files now. And I've got something like 22 uploaded. But on this device there's already about 76 or something. And so, although it's no problem uploading them, a very quick process, but they still have to go through the power director to be transformed into MP4. And then they're not that heavy to upload. I can do it from home. And then I make my own little thumbnail, which takes a couple of minutes. No, not even that, just a minute or two. But the sheer numbers of things to upload means that can't honestly say I'm ever going to get around to having all of this done, because I'm not sure that part of the routine is as effortless as this part. Sometimes I have to push myself, I have to admit. I have to push myself a little bit to just do the thumbnail, to go click on the thing, and it may get easier, not may, I think it certainly will get easier when I get everything on the desktop completed. When I get everything on the Lenny that's left, a few things that maybe are on my Poco, when it gets down to just what's on this device, it may be easier, although in saying that, actually no, it won't be easier, because last night I was listening to, I went back to number 1 is 70 something, and somehow May was coming up at the very beginning. I don't know how that happened. I'd like to think most of them are just in a straightforward order, you know. 60 is the first and 61 is the second. I mean, that's the way I've been doing them, but if for some reason there's a deletion along the way or whatever, I think the file will go back to the earliest number and use it. So I don't even know how these 70 files are going to be located. The only good thing about that is that I think I'm pretty constant of giving the dates now very early in the talk. Like, you know, if I was just to give the date now, the 18th of May, Monday, 3 o'clock, it would almost be too late, because I'm already about 6-7 minutes into this, and that's a hell of a lot of, if you're just waiting, you want to get the date, but you just want to upload the thing, you don't want to listen to it, that's already just an effort. We'll see. They're certainly going to always be there. And if it was just a case of uploading them one after the other, but when you have to do the thumbnail, when you have to find out what the day is, it makes it all more complicated. I may in the end just upload them and say audio number blah 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 and not bother with the dates. I may just do that, although I really like having the date. So no, more than likely I will go on slowly, and it just may take a long time. Ideally, it would be good to just not do any audio vlogs for a couple of weeks. You know, just to stop doing them so that I could just catch up. Because I'm doing them quicker than I'm uploading them. Sometimes 2 a day. Anyway, at least it's all on record. So today, what is it? Flo went out and got a little bit of shopping and went to the Connemara, checked some stuff. I don't know what exactly. When she came back, she wasn't in the best of form. And unfortunately, I kind of was talking about some stuff, and it was my fault. I think that the conversation slipped into the Connemara, and then we have the circle. And I kind of said, I actually said this, I meant it in a good way, not a negative way. I was saying, you know, maybe if you dislike the job so much, you won't really mind not having money like we do now. That maybe that would be the type of change that you're willing to put up with. But then she kind of surprised me to say, oh, it's not that I don't like the job. I don't like the responsibility for the job. Because she has to make the calls and deal with various things. But it kind of struck me as I was walking. This is not, I hope it's not just as a defense, but I was thinking, there's someone coming toward me on a bike. Let me hold the thought. Holding. Bonjour. I was thinking about just the nature of that responsibility she has. The professional responsibility. And she keeps saying if it wasn't for her, the business would never have survived. Because you need that professional attitude and responsibility to keep the business running. Whereas I've always been a little lax, carefree. But the point I was thinking to myself that I was wondering, I'm not sure I'd like to talk with Flo, but I was wondering, is that responsibility she has, is that not just kind of a psychological, hereditary, you know, thing she's got from her background and parents, and whether or not she was doing all the jobs, and even if I was doing all those jobs, I wonder why she thinks that would take away that sense. Because I think the responsibility in her mind, it's a bit like her attitude toward being late to an airport or a station. I don't think it's something that she could ever really just drop, you know. So I was wondering, even if I said I'm going to do everything, and if I just miraculously became fluent in French and just had some kind of a personality transformation. So I'm like, don't worry, I'm going to go and talk to the guy in the garage, or I'll fix that, or I'm going to deal with everything. I'll talk to the bank, I'll get, you know, whatever. I have an intuition that that feeling of responsibility, that clash between being a little laid back and very professional would still be there. You know? Like I was saying to myself, if I was responsible and when the chip pan broke, I just said, well, that's it, I'm not doing chips anymore. Or I'm going to buy a very cheap chip pan. So at least we can use these chips up, and then whatever. Would she just be like, yeah, well, it's fine, you're responsible now. I don't mind. Would we still have the same kind of conflict? If she arrived after the yoga and I hadn't made the tables, would she be like, well, I don't care, it's your responsibility? Or would she be still pretty much in the role of being in charge? I don't think it boils down to just me doing the other tasks or the integration or French. I think it's more deeply rooted in that thing about her feelings toward that job, the responsibility she feels. And then I was thinking, I wonder if it annoys her that I don't have those feelings. And even if I was running the business like she is, if I was doing everything, I still wouldn't have that responsibility. I just don't have that relationship to responsibility like that. I don't have that upbringing. I don't have, to me, Connemara is just to make some money. I've got a certain pride at, I like when people compliment me, so I'm going to do the best, but I'm certainly not worried if we don't have this or we don't have that or I'm late. Just don't care. If the business starts to drop, I think I could manage, as long as we're earning enough. Anyway, it's not some conversation I'll be having with Flo anytime soon. And then I was saying, is that one other thing that's been constant is this kind of an insecurity in the long term, kind of slight feeling of dread of what's going to become of me. Maybe that's selfish. I don't think so. I've got Flo is just not the kind of person I would worry about what's going to become of her, because she just seems so together with things like that. She would always find stuff to do. She's got a large family group. And I was saying the other day, this kind of thinking is always triggered when we're going to Maraval or something, and I thought to myself, I think it's because I've never really felt in any kind of inner circle like that. It's not just with Flo's people. I feel exactly the same. If I was in Carlow, I would never be able to go and ask help from Mary or Lily or Anne. There's really only a select 2 or 3. It was John Byrne way back when. At the moment, I may go and ask Kieran Egan, because I think we may both like that setup. But otherwise, even Catherine, Martina, I'm just walking past some cars. Parapont. Lots of people here. So yeah, I may be carefree about the job, but I'm anything but carefree about long-term situations. I have no secure feeling about a long-term situation. I wish there was some foolproof scheme that you could join. And this scheme said, if all goes wrong, your wife leaves you. And your mother is long since gone with all the aunts. And Martina's married somebody else. That sounds a bit heartless. Let's say she doesn't, but let's say I'll get to John in a minute, actually. But let's say for whatever reason it just doesn't seem an option to go back to Carlow to live with Catherine, Martina, John, anybody, family or not. I wish there was a scheme where someone would say, you know, you can stay in this little house, the government pays the rent, and we give you, and bills are paid, whatever, and we give you a very kind of meager amount to live on. It's not something you'll ever be buying lots of stuff. You won't be going on holidays. Yeah, you may have some way of having a cheap flight to get back to Ireland once in a while. And otherwise, pretty basic. Let's say like it kind of like prime time, you know. You got €100 a week or something to do with as you please. If there was some guarantee like that, you'll always have a roof, you'll always have your place, it'll be yours with your stuff in it, and you'll have enough money to live. That's a guaranteed. And it doesn't matter what else, you know, who leaves who, where you go, what falling out you have, what happens after the kind of marriage, guaranteed that. My mind would maybe be a little more at ease. But like I often say, I'm not sure if this fear of the future is just an unconscious fear of, you know, the long, long future, the fear of, unconscious fear of death. We all have somewhere in us. It's that, the growing awareness that there is an ending for everybody. Growing awareness. And there's no way of getting out of it. It's just a matter of the how and the when. Maybe the where. Anyway, it's there in the back of your mind. Like this kind of problem which is not solvable. And it never really will be. Well, that's not true. It could be solvable. If a person reaches a specific state of grace, it may be, if not completely solved, then maybe eased. Because of course, to get back to John, when I think of John's situation, Martina's husband, it makes all this dialogue and all my conversations seem incredibly trivial and kind of pathetic. You know, what's your big worry, Eddie? Well, I don't know if I'm going to have money in the future. I don't know if my level of French is good enough to be here, and it's worrying about existence without any friends, and worrying about my ability to cope. But still, compared to him, it's trivial, it's nonsense. Yeah, to me it's there. I guess it's just a total lack of confidence in being mature enough to be able to deal with lots of things on my own. You know? So now I've got no money and no job and I'm hungry. Who do I go to? What department do I see? What letter do I write? Those things were difficult enough in London. But here, hello horsies. Beautiful. Oh, reminded of Red Dead Redemption last night. thinking about the long-term stuff like this, some would say, well, there's a certain credit in thinking about that. Maybe you can make some kind of a plan. Nothing wrong with having, like saving, for instance. But to be spending any time wondering about your fate is probably a waste of time. There's just nothing you can do about it. Whatever will be, will be. One day at a time. Let the future take care of itself, I suppose. Yeah, we had that conversation anyway. And I stopped it just at the point when Flo was saying, oh, well, it was meant to be two of us in the business, but then you decided not to integrate or learn French, I think. Which is just not true. I did try. Anyway. It's nice to walk into the Connemara without the added element of being stopped by the police. Thankfully, we don't have that anymore. As far as I'm aware, I don't have to carry any papers. No one's going to stop me. In thinking about the future, just to kind of maybe draw a line under this for now, I have no way of knowing in any shape or form about how things are going to unwind, unfold. Unravel is not really the nice word. And I don't know about there's so many things. I mean, really, there's so many things that can hit a person, and I mean hit in terms of accidents or disease, illnesses. The odds are, I guess, the odds of me being alone and having nowhere to go are incredibly slim, whereas the odds of me ending up with something, don't even want to mention names, are much, much higher. And if something like that were to happen, it would just be, I mean, it would make all of this needless dialogue, even this needless dialogue, this needless meditation, it'd make it all worthless. It never mattered in the end, because you didn't get to that point. I'm just saying, as much as there's something in you telling you, and this would certainly be Flo's ideology as well, as much as something in you saying, no, you've got to think of these things. You don't want to sleepwalk into some old age thing, where you don't have a roof over your head. You've certainly got to plan out these things, but that's just not true. There's so many examples of that around. Gee, look at Sam. And look at that man that used to come in all the time. Always had a complete name? He was a real character of the town. He had his money, he had a house. He fell down the stairs. There's examples, and I'm sure there's examples by the million, of people who made all kinds of plans to make sure they'd have a comfortable this or that, but you don't have control. You just don't. You never did. And so all of the basic things. It's a subject not worthwhile contemplating. And even as I say that, I can't get my mind off it. A part of me just can't accept that, and it's just not going to. Because somehow the end of the Connemara doesn't feel far away. And somehow that, it's just that, the first month is going to be great, but then 2 or 3 months down the line, when I'm absolutely no near finding a job, and maybe Flo is no nearer finding a job, and this time the government is not going to step in and start sending us checks. I have a fear of that. And how will the dynamic of the argument change? As I'm thinking on it, it doesn't really sound that bad, actually. If it's just a case of my pride at not being able to do anything, going around with her to her family and feeling like a right sap, because now I am the guy who's just sitting there not speaking much French on his phone. Now he's not even working, and he's being carried by the daughter. Of course, I've got to make the choice and say, to hell with it, let it be. Let the chips fall where they will. I'm limited, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't, not now. Maybe if I want to say I believe in magic, then maybe I can at some point in the future be magically transformed and just know what to do when push comes to shove. Right now I don't. I don't see any job other than what I'm doing. I wish we could just cut down the hours and Flo could do something else. I wish she could just stop feeling this, I don't know. Bonjour. But she seems to, when she gets into this mood, she hates it, she says, and then in the second breath she says she doesn't hate it. I have to say, a part of me would almost like to be in the situation where we don't have a job and we don't have the money coming in anymore. And just be able to say, well, I guess you're happy now. Now you don't have that responsibility anymore. And we've got €43 left in the, 43 euros left in the bank. Yeah. Comes and goes. I could have the same conversation like I just did a bit about my health. I could have it about my teeth. There are things coming, things out there we just don't have any control over. And you know, the idea of having a house and money put away and everything, well, it's certainly not a bad idea, but that's not. Would you like to have lots of money put away and then get something terrible and be dead before you're 60, or have no money put away and be living in a pretty, not a great place, but be still going strong in your 90s? Will I live that long? Life and its nature, it's a fascinating thing. The thing I like watching most of all, and have done for many years, is the lives of people that have been unusual. And although I'd hate to be one of them, but there's a fascination in the lives of people that go through kind of big ups and downs. The woman who locked herself in a hotel room for, I don't know, 30 years or something. The two brothers who barricaded themselves in their mansion and never dealt with anybody anymore. Just turned their back on it all. They have a fascination with those stories. That beautiful actress in that movie. And she was in Pretty in Pink, and she was in some crap B movie. Beautiful girl, and she just disappeared off the scene. I believed she had some mental health problems. I can't remember, long strength, something. She had a strange name. And someone put up a message saying that they believe she froze to death a couple of years ago. Probably while being under the influence of drugs. It's just the trajectory that's remarkable. Leave him alone. Yeah. Sam, even. Everything planned out meticulously, it seemed. And a man financially as sound and clever as I guess you can get. And then his wife died, and then he's on his own, and then he has a stroke, and then he ends up in a home, and he's just in this little bedroom and in bed most of the time, I think. And he just seems to be waiting to die. He must have had everything planned. And still, he couldn't stop things from unfolding the way they did. Robin Williams and all this success, all this gaiety, all these parties, and then also, can you imagine all the dreadfulness in it. And then he died the way he died. It's just fascinating the way the story goes for so many. The look of it, I suppose. The shocking end for so many. But all those people who died over the last 3 months from this coronavirus. I mean, 4 months ago, most of these people were doing okay. And at least they would have all thought, well, when the end comes, I'll have my family around me and it'll be done in a very pleasant way, as pleasant as possible in those circumstances. And yet so many ended up dying in such a lonely way. Well, maybe from what I know about that, other people would have been probably put into a coma, so they actually not have known much about it. But still to be removed from your family, maybe in hospital for days and weeks, not seeing anybody. Not really knowing how things were going, because I'm sure you weren't being told. And these were all kinds of people from all kinds of classes, I imagine. Boris Johnson himself. Who could have foreseen that? Who could have planned for that? It's like so many people have all these plans for sorting things out for everything and everybody. And then they slip in the shower and break their neck or break their hip or but the stories I look at online, all these stories of people that just had extraordinary lives, be they short or long. I think the one thing it can make you appreciate is the moment where you are and say, well, you're 54 and it's okay. So far so good. So far so good. My life hasn't been in any way remarkable. It's had some mini dramas. It actually reminds me of the 7 Up television serial, which was also fascinating when you watched how these people's lives turned out. The camera visited them every 7 years, and it was so funny to see how the directions they went. When I consider I was in the drama center, it may be just an ego thing to say, but it's like I was in the ballpark. You know, on that first day I had a chance. I had as much of a chance as anybody else, but then I guess somebody else could say, well, you had absolutely no chance because everything you needed in you, you didn't have any of it. You needed to be a specific type of person. And like my mother would say, people like Paul Bettany were far too well up for you at that point. They had a plan and an ease of being, I suppose. You didn't know your arse from your elbow. You just wanted to be famous. You were like a 10-year-old. You were like a 10-year-old. What about a career as an actor? You'd be living here, you'd be learning this, you'd be studying this. The job would consist of this. You had no, absolutely no awareness. I mean, I don't think I even had the awareness of an adolescent at that time. It's true when I think of it. It seems, I don't think it ever struck me as, well, you know, how does this work when I finish? What do you do? There was quite a few different opportunities there just to meet people, kind of, you know. No one said anything to me. Or if they did, I didn't listen. Maybe they did. First thing you need to do in a business like that is you can make their contacts. Because I've all the talent in the world, which I didn't have. But even if you did, it wouldn't be a guarantee of anything if you didn't have some kind of cleverness, personality, you know, some kind of tact, some kind of business mind. In itself, when I think back, I think was probably the easy part. You got to do this in the story or characters like that. Have fun. That's the most difficult part of acting, learning the lines, hitting the spot, that's all. After that you just have to play a rational kind of sane guy, unless he's not a rational sane guy. But the problem then is afterwards. What do you do? How do you get work? So busy.
Oui, avec le docteur Beaumont.
It's so fucking noisy and busy. Like Flo said, it's really not nice. I am going to disappear up the street here. I'm going up the one-way street towards the school. Get away from the fucking traffic and the lorries. Nobody can drive up here. Good. Past the old house, which is not there no more. Yeah, it's kind of a fascinating chapter when I think back on it, I have to say. It was kind of the toughest, definitely the toughest. But it was also a high point in many ways. Because I really was like this fucking 12-year-old who was having all these dreams about being famous. Imagine. The thought never struck me of where would you like to live, or what would you like to do, or what plans have you got for the future. No plans, nothing. I really must have been slightly retarded. I mean, on the other hand, there's a few kids at school. How about that? The little minions are back. A much smaller crop. Bonjour. Like I was going to say, I think I have developed quite a bit as a person. Got that innocence of the drama center, and then you've got the long years in the wilderness. Developing my alcoholic side, and then meeting Flo and being introduced to various parts of Europe or the world. I really hold her. She takes the credit for Bonjour. She takes the credit for all of that, introducing me to a new life altogether, really. And then to move to France in a different culture completely. I suppose compared to a lot of people, I've had so far quite an interesting trajectory, if I think about it. A lot of people didn't leave Carlo. They're still doing the same job they did from when they were 20. And I like to think my psychology is advanced, although that certain fucking retardation is still there. The only difference is I'm aware of it now. I wasn't aware of it back then. So what are you doing now? Me in 1993. I'm staying in Sutherland Avenue in a room. Are you working? No. You're looking for jobs? You're a young guy, young good-looking guy, got it all to play for. Why wouldn't you have a job? You're articulate. Well, I have applied for 2 jobs. Just 2. And what do you do all day? Nothing. Yet when the time came, I knew what to do. See, when I think of my life in the past, if anybody is ready and has experience for not having a job, it would certainly be me. Been through it all many times. If anybody would know what it's like not to have money, it would be me. still here. We're still here. Oh, I stopped talking, sorry. I really forgot. I'm gonna turn you off now. It's been I guess kind of an interesting but also depressing conversation. And so I will say goodbye. How long was that? I'll try and shine the light here. 53 minutes. 53 minutes. How about that? Goodbye for now. Perhaps I'll speak later on.